The 17th edition of the U.S. Nationals is sponsored by Peak. Peak original equipment technology matches all vehicle manufacturers' antifreeze technology requirements, and Peak has the perfect match for your vehicle. With their line of premium coolants specifically designed to match the technology and color requirements, as well as easy-to-read color cues on the packaging and label, and a list of covered vehicles make it easy to identify the right match for your ride. Find out more information about all Peak antifreeze and coolants at peakauto.com or using the link below. You know, I love Indianapolis. I don't know about you. This is everything you could have wanted today. We go into the U.S. Nationals, the biggest race of the year, the big go, the granddaddy of them all, whatever you want to call it. This track has magic. People always talk about it a lot, how the Indianapolis 500, the Speedway picks its winners. No matter what you do, the track has an idea of who it wants to win. It'll pick it. You don't pick when you want to win. It picks you. And this is kind of the story of today. Going into today, you know, we had all the expectations for what we could expect. You know, Austin Prock, J.R. Todd, Shawn Langdon, Brittany Force, Tony Schumacher, Tony Stewart, all had incredible days. Did they win the race? No, they did not. I don't think a whole lot of people would have correctly guessed these four winners today. There are some drivers who are easy picks, sure, but to end today with the stories that we have from these drivers, the history that we have made, and the significance of these wins is something to behold. We have four new first-time winners of the U.S. Nationals, and it's incredible. Indy is magical. The U.S. Nationals is the biggest race for a reason. People have said, you know, that this race has kind of lost its mystique. It's kind of lost its importance. I've heard people say that Dallas is the biggest race of the year. You can't tell me which race is the biggest if you haven't been to it. And if you've been to Indy, you understand why it is called the Big Go and why it is the race every driver wants to win. I'm standing in the left lane today. This was the lane that was dominant throughout the entire running of eliminations, at least in the fuel cars. The right lane drivers were able to get it down the track in pro stock. That ended up becoming a bit of the favorite as we got later into the rounds. But for fuel itself, this lane was the place you wanted to be. I was told yesterday that when the right lane soaks the sun and the heat gets into it, it becomes undrivable. A lot of drivers struggle with it, and that became true today. I talked to another driver after he lost his race. He was frustrated with the track, saying the NHRA was going to fix it. Turns out nothing happened, and he went out there and struggled in that lane. He said that this track has been left lane dominant for the past couple years. It has been a one-lane track for about 9 or so, and it became a super one-lane racetrack within the last 4 years. So I'm not sure what changes are going to be made. I have heard that the track manager for IRP that does the track prep is talking to another one saying, what can we do to make this better? He said, give me 4 days and I'll tell you. So there are probably going to be some changes because they don't want to have a repeat of this probably next year, but it doesn't stop how incredible this race was top to bottom. The big story is Brittany Force, probably. She locked herself into the countdown today after an incredible performance on race day, probably the best one she's had all year. Went through round one, number one qualifier against Shawn Langdon. Went through round two against Tony Schumacher. Got locked into the countdown by advancing because Josh Hart lost to Clay Millican in that round, and then sadly fell short in the semifinals to Clay Millican. So there was a lot to look forward to with that, as well as the fact that we do have a bit of an update on the Arby's situation. If you remember, Arby's debuted on this car back on Friday. It was kind of a big story because no one really knew where this deal came from. There's a lot of questions on what this deal is, the terms, how long it's going to be, how long this is going to extend, because of the fact that Rick Ware Racing isn't just an NHRA team. They have contacts in NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, WEC on the European Le Mans Series at one point, flat tracks, AMA, as well as motocross. They have their feet in just about everything. So there's a lot of questions on what that is. I talked to Rick Ware between the semis and the final rounds, and according to him, this was a marketing test for them. This was not really their first race. The deal with this is he went to them to go put this deal together last week. They didn't have time to do any marketing promotions or even put any coupons together for the race. This was just a marketing test to see if Arby's would like what they saw and wanted to continue the deal. He used Clay Millican to kind of promote this because of his social media presence, his fan engagement, and how much of a personality he is within the sport. But he said that this was going to be a marketing test to see how well things would respond. And then what we ended up seeing was they went all the way to the finals. He ended up telling the Arby's representative that this doesn't happen every time, so don't think that this is always going to happen. But from what I understand, there's going to be at least one more race with the Arby's car as a testing for the marketing side. They're also going to try out flat track and the motocross as well. There's a possibility they could put it on a NASCAR. But if all goes well, there's talks that this might be used for half the races next year. There's also been apparently some interest from Arby's about putting it on their Indianapolis 500 entry next year, because apparently the way this deal formed together is a lot of the franchisees around the Midwest is major motorsports fans. So this was kind of a demographic targeted marketing campaign, but they said this is going to go coast to coast. So if all goes well, we could be seeing Arby's back in motorsports again. And for people who may wonder, this is not their first foray into motorsports. They sponsored, obviously, Matt Kenseth, famously, the number 17 Arby's Ford, featured in commercials around 2007. But they also sponsored the Southern Nationals in the late 2010s, but right around the time that Atlanta Dragway was shutting down. So this isn't their first time in drag racing, but this is certainly a very welcome return because of the fact that this is a major mainstream sponsor that is hopping on board. And because of the fact not only is this Arby's, there's a lot of other businesses that Arby's owns, like Buffalo Wild Wings and so forth. So if this is with Insight Brands that owns Arby's, this could extend to a lot of other deals as well, like we've seen with some other teams in the past in their programs. So this could mean major deals for Rick Ware Racing. So there's a lot to look forward to with that. Other highlights as well, the ongoing battle between Pro Stock, Elite Motorsports swept the finals, JFR continuing to look strong. This is probably the best weekend they've had all season as a conglomerate group. Tony Stewart talked to him back on Friday, said they felt like they're finally turning strides and they're turning the team around heading into the countdown. That was true, ran all the way into the semis, was very upset because apparently something happened on the track that they weren't aware of, and that really affected the setup on the car, and he ended up smoking the tires. He was furious when he got out of the car, from what I understood. So that's going to be very interesting to hear the developments when info about that leaks out. There's a lot to look forward to. But, of course, with this being the big go, you want to know how the race turned out. So let's look into your U.S. Nationals results. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, number 14 qualifier Mark Ingerson took out number 3 John Hall after John's bike started hooking towards the center and forcing John to let off the throttle. Angie Smith would bounce back after a frustrating Sunday afternoon to advance to her first final round of the season. She would find herself racing against Gage Herrera, looking for his first win since Norwalk. Angie Smith's run to the final saw round 1 win against Steve Johnson, round 2 against Mark Ingerson, and then in the semifinals defeating her husband Matt Smith, who faced off now against Gage Herrera. Round 1 against Wesley Wells, second round against Chase Van Sant, and then defeating his teammate Richard Gatson in the semi-final round. Off the line in the finals, Gage Herrera would cut a triple O light. You can't get any better than that. He was scorched on the racetrack to a full bike length victory and would secure the final accolade in his trophy cabinet to secure himself as one of the all-time greats in the Pro Stock bike category, now being able to call himself a U.S. Nationals champion. In Pro Stock, Christian Quadra takes out the points leader Dallas Glenn on a hole shot in round 1 as he tries to clinch his spot in the countdown. He would succeed in doing so. Struggles for Jared Tucker on race day continues. Corey Reed left first, won the race on a hole shot that went 3 digits past the decimal. Aaron Stanfield will face off against his teammate Jake Coughlin Jr. in the final round. Aaron Stanfield's road to the finals included a round 1 defeat of Matt Harford, Corey Reed, who was unable to race in round 2 due to his car breaking on the starting line, and then Greg Anderson in the semis. Jake Coughlin's road to the finals included a round 1 win against Eric Latino, defeating his nephew Troy Coughlin Jr. in the second round, and Erica Enders in the semis. Aaron Stanfield raced the left lane and run away to take the victory and become the first driver to double up at the U.S. Nationals with his Factory X win. In a funny car, a promising weekend for Daniel Wilkerson ends in disaster as Daniel suffers a massive explosion in his round 1 matchup against Bobby Bodie. We had a bracket buster as well in round 1 as Bob Taska III's car lost power towards the finish and Buddy Hole was able to sneak by for his first ever round win. Jack Beckman ran low ET in round 1 with a 385, but Dale Creasy Jr. ran the quickest ET of his career with a 395. Jack Beckman still won the round. Paul Lee was eliminated from the countdown to the championship after DeJoria beat Matt Hagan in round 1 as well. Austin Prog would match up with Ron Capps, who entered the finals on an 11-round win streak at Indianapolis. His road to the finals included a round 1 match against J.R. Todd, defeating Buddy Hull in the second round, and then defeating Jack Beckman in the semifinals, running in the left lane due to the fact that Jack smoked the tires early in the run. Austin Prog beat Chris King in round 1, Alexis Joria in the second, and then Blake Alexander in the semifinals. In the final round, Prog would launch off the line first. Capps tried to catch him, but Prog ran away and captures his first Indy win at the U.S. Nationals. Lastly, in Top Fuel, Brittany Force won her first major first-round matchup against Sean Langdon, blew the motor but did not drop any oil, which would have caused another points penalty. Tony Stewart would continue to build momentum as he heads to the countdown. He would end up running it all the way to semifinals until running into issues with the track. He would then lose the race to Steve Torrence and have to pack the car up early. Clay Millican would have the best day of his career after struggling in qualifying. He would run the field and make it to the final round to face off against Steve Torrence. Steve Torrance's road to the finals included a round 1 win against his father, Billy Torrance. In the second round, he defeated the young up-and-coming rookie, Ida Zetterstrom, and then, like we said, in the semifinals, defeated Tony Stewart. Clay Millican, who was the Cinderella story of the U.S. Nationals this year, came into the final round wanting to win the big go. Again, a massive career-defining moment for Clay Millican. In round 1, he defeated the reigning back-to-back U.S. Nationals champion Antron Brown, took out Josh Hart in the second round, and then Brittany Force in the semis to race against Steve. In the final round, Clay would be in the overpowered left lane as he left evenly off the line. Steve looked like he was going to sneak away with the win until his car broke, potentially leaving oil on the track, as Clay Millican scored the biggest win of his career. As usual, we have highlights courtesy of NHRA and Fox, but first, a word from our partners at Peak Performance.
Protect your vehicle with Peak Original Equipment Technology. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle.
So Gage Herrera, the Vance & Hines Motul Revzilla Suzuki. They both did a perfect reaction time for Gage Herrera. My goodness, the discipline, the professionalism, and the outright domination of this guy. 6'70", 6'3", 198 miles an hour. A perfect light in the final round of the U.S. Nationals.
And the presentation of the Wally here at the U.S. Nationals at a race that escaped you last year. Gage, you just had a perfect reaction time. If there were any questions around this operation, what answer did that give them?
You know, we're very strong as a whole team. You know, this is a whole team win here. You know, Vance & Hines, Byron, Terry, all of them. You know, this wins for them and all their hard work. You know, they never quit, especially Byron back in the shop. You know, he never quits working on this operation with Andrew, and it's just showing right now. So I'm very proud to be a part of the Vance & Hines Revzilla Motul team, and I got a great group of guys behind me, and to get the win here is very special. I made my debut here 2 years ago. You know, I wasn't able to get the win here last year, but it feels so much better to get it this year, and it's time to celebrate. I'm so excited right now. Thank you.
Woo! Tire Elite Motorsports Group on both sides of this racetrack, as both of these cars are part of that massive team. Green lights, a 17 reaction time for Aaron Stanfield. Does he have enough horsepower to hold off Jake Coughlin? And at the finish line, Stanfield has doubled up at the U.S. Nationals, Factory X, and now a Pro Stock victory. 017 light, 56.1, outruns a 56.2.
And the presentation of the U.S. Nationals, Wally, will be delivered by Toyota up here at the top end. Aaron Stanfield, the first to double up here at the U.S. Nationals. How forever magical will the date September 2nd, 2024 be?
This is what dreams are made of right here, and it's been a long weekend, and man, I can't thank all these guys enough that's involved in both of my programs. JHG, Melling, all these boys at Elite Motorsports. Mark Ingersoll's a bad dude, and man, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this, but we just want 2 Wallies at the big go.
It's all yours, man.
Woo! The Tree flashes and they leave. Camps is hanging in there, but Prock is driving away. Austin Prock wins the U.S. Nationals for the first time in one of the most convincing funny car performances we have seen in years. 388.5, 327 miles an hour. I don't think there was an iota of doubt in that man's mind or this young man's that's driving the car.
Austin Prock is the winner of the regular season in Funny Car. He also picked up that Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty championship this weekend as well, and that is a Wally from the U.S. Nationals. We just heard from your father through tears at the starting line. He said he woke up this morning with the dream that he would win this with his family.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts this morning?
Oh, I mean, I had the same feeling this morning. I had a feeling we were going to get it done, and my grandfather's here. This is the first race he's been to since I drove this funny car with his number on the side of it, and he started this legacy, and today we just marked another one off the list as a family. I mean, that's unbelievable to win the U.S. Nationals with your dad tuning it, your brother, the assistant crew chief, Nate Hildall, this whole Cornwell Tools team. They are just badasses, and it sure is fun to drive. I was chopping the tree down all weekend, and I wanted to make sure everyone knew I was back. Thank you. Woo!
They leave. Steve's out first. He smokes the tires. Clay Millican wins the U.S. Nationals. 379.2, 327 miles an hour. It seems so unlikely. They struggled in qualifying. They have had their down moments this season. But for Rick Ware Racing and this entire crew, you can see they are absolutely beside themselves with joy.
And the celebrations are continuing up here at the top end for Clay Millican. I've heard you say 5 times, we just won the U.S. Nationals. For a racer like yourself who has raced in all corners of this country, what does that Wally right there represent to you?
A lifetime of work right there. And again, my sisters are here, but I gotta say, Parts Plus, I love you guys. You've stuck with me for over a decade now. Comp Cams, Elderbrook Summit, Arrowhead Brass, Arby's. We won for the first time with Arby's on the race car. It's incredible. I cannot wait to see Rick Ware. For the first time ever, he was on the starting line when I stomped on the loud pedal and brought home the Wally from the U.S. Nationals! Woo!
Over the course of your career, you've already amassed a ton of records, national historical records. You have the championship, the crown jewel races. That was the last one missing on your resume before you really submitted yourself as a legend of the sport already. Where does this win rank up compared to all of those historical stats that you already put up in your mantle?
This one ranks at the top. I mean, all the stuff that I've done as far as creating history or beating Bob Clinton's record, all that stuff, I feel like I'm gonna, throughout my years, I'm gonna remember this over all that. I mean, that is very historical. It's crazy that record stood for 30 years and then I broke it. But this is one everyone wants to win. This is like the Super Bowl of football. And to get this one off, I would say my back, or to get this win, I mean, I feel like I kind of accomplished almost like what I want in pro stock motorcycle. It's kind of crazy to say that. I mean, this is what, a year and a half into my career as far as racing pro stock motorcycle, but I ain't stopping yet.
Over the last couple of months, you and your team have seemed to have found another gear in performance as you have slayed the entire competition through the summer months, going to the countdown. Is this Indy win and this whole day just kind of the icing on the cake for what has been your season, and how do you keep this going into the countdown of the championship?
The Indy win is great, but the icing on the cake would be a championship for sure. But we have a long ways to go, and I can tell you that it's going to be a dogfight all the way to the end. And I've said it, I think you can win from any qualifying position, and it's gonna whoever wins this championship is going to have earned it.
You talked about how you block out the emotions, that way you can focus on the task ahead. When you cross that finish line, you see that win light come on, you realize you just won Indy, you pull up to the top and get out of the car. When you first got that hand in your Wally, just talk about the emotions and thoughts that are racing through your head when you realized you just became a legend of the sport.
Yeah, no, it was special. I'm still holding it now, and yeah, it's one of those deals where you dream of this stuff and you don't know if it's ever going to happen, and it happened today. So I'm still in shock, but I guarantee you when I wake up next morning, it'll probably sink in a little bit, and after that, it's back to work. We got to go win Reading.
You won a lot in your IHRA career. You had to wait a while to get your first NHRA win. Those wins have been few and far between, but every single one of those wins has either had a significant meaning to you or the history of this sport. Does the meaning and significance of these wins weigh on you when you go back and think about what it is you have accomplished in your NHRA career?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really think about it. The Bristol win, hands down, and I've said this a million times, I don't care how many races I win, nothing will ever top Bristol, including the U.S. Nationals. And I'm honestly sit here and say that. But at the same time, this is like winning the Super Bowl, winning the Daytona 500, you know, the World Series, you name it. This is like career-defining kind of stuff, you know. I am so proud of everybody that has worked right along with me, having the want to keep me out here. There's so many people that's been involved. I mean, Parts Plus, for example, has been with me for over a decade. That's a long time running sponsorship. And it's those kind of people that have bought into my dream that allow me to continue to do this. And now you got Rick Ware that has bought in, and today was so huge because we won 3 times last year. Rick wasn't at a single one of them. So for us to win the U.S. Nationals with him here was huge. I mean, y'all obviously saw we have Arby's on the car. Mr. John was here with us from Arby's. He was on the starting line. He was in every picture that I just took down there. You know, to say that he is a drag race fan now, I would say yes, because this was his first ever drag race, first one ever. And I'm going to relay that back to kind of talking about big things in my life, big things that had happened. So Bobby was referencing showing up a race with no motor, no nothing. Well, I showed up with a race with a young man one time that had never been to a drag race at all. I won my first national event when he was there. That man turned out to be Peter Lehman, who ended up buying a top field team, and here we are. So things happen for a reason. I 100% believe that, and I'm going to make my sister cry when it's time for the snow to fall off the leaf. That's when it's going to happen. That means something here. Y'all may not understand that, but it does here. And I'm not going to cry. I'm going to make her cry.
So in the chaos of trying to cover this incredible event and the magic that took place today with the 70th edition of the U.S. Nationals, I completely spaced on the fact that we have this really cool giveaway that we've been promoting for the past month or so. So, yeah, we're going to splice this in here. Really abrupt cut. I know it looks pretty stupid, but bear with me on this one. So, again, we have all the beautiful names of the, I believe, like 47 entries that signed up before the cutoff. All the beautiful names lined up here. The one thing I can't decide is how I want to go about this because, again, we have 3 great prizes, so we're going to spin the wheel 3 times, but one of them is very special than the others because of the fact it is signed by Fast Jack Beckman, who made it all the way to the semifinals. So I can't decide whether I want the grand prize to be drawn first or if we want to wait till last. So we're going to let our buddy Google decide. We have the coin flipper, the option that Google has. We're going to go heads. It's at the beginning. Tails is at the rear. So we're going to let it decide, and whichever one it lands on, that is where the grand prize will be drawn. So here we go. And tails. It'll be at the end. All right. So first spin. This chair sounds really bad. First spin. Let's see what we get. Look at them colors fly. It's beautiful, isn't it? Slowing it down, and it looks to be, oh, I don't know how to pronounce this. Bruce Arvizu, you have won a swag bag from Peak Giveaway. So congratulations to you. I will email you come tomorrow when I wake up after my hibernation sleep to get your information on where I can send that to. Spin number 2, race fans. Let's see what we get. Show me the money. Show me the money. Let's see what we get. Slowing it down. It's going to do it again. Blue is the magic color. Mike Bollinger, you also have won a swag bag. And now we have reached our conclusion. The last one. This is for the swag bag with the signed Fast Jack Beckman hat. So, again, have all these great names. Let's see who wins. But first, once again, thank you, Peak, for all the support you've given us. Thank you for watching the channel. And I am just wasting time so that way fans have suspense who have entered this thing. So again, let's do it one more time. And is it going to go blue again? Oh, Jerry Vieira is the winner of a third Peak swag bag, but of course he has the golden ticket to win a signed Fast Jack Beckman hat. So congratulations to all 3 of our winners. I will send you guys emails in the afternoon when I wake up, get your address, and we'll get you those shipped out as soon as we can. So once again, thank you to all of you who signed up. Thank you to all of you who have supported us throughout the entire event so far. I cannot wait to be back next time out because this is once again my favorite event of the year. I wake up every day dreaming of being able to come to this event. So thank you guys so much for supporting us. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming countdown action as we get set for a thrilling championship battle. Be sure to follow me on social media pages below at MightyMac03 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and be sure to support our partners at Peak by buying some of their incredible antifreeze for your vehicle so that way you can have the best products running your motor. And until Reading, Pennsylvania, this is Mighty Mac. We'll see you next time.